Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Morning Market Movers, where we look at hot spots in the markets for today and do some live analysis for day trading Wednesday, March 23rd. My name is Todd Rich. I'm with Nadex. With me from Keep Trading Simple, Brian Caprice. What are we looking at briefly? We're gonna have to talk about oil today. Oil is up again. I mean, it's punching higher to some recent highs. Uh, we had the API, the industry drawdown levels yesterday in the U.S., a much larger drawdown than expected. But we do have the oil inventory report, the official one. EIA comes out this morning at 10:30. So we are going to be looking at that number for potential trade setups around the release of U.S. oil inventory levels. And we do know that supply is having challenges. So oil continues to go higher. Equities looking a little soft this morning. And then the pound yen. I mean, the pound did have their CPI numbers come out, but the pound is doing a little bit of retracing from what it did yesterday, and there's some interesting levels there. So oil, equities, the pound, that's what we're going to be looking at today. Before we jump into it, I do need to share this disclaimer that trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for everyone, that any trading decisions you make are solely your responsibility and at your own risk. And this is an educational session. Please do not construe anything Brian or I say as a buy or sell recommendation. We are doing this for your education purposes. And just a quick little peek, you can actually see what oil is doing. I mean, we did, it was uh, right when the European session opened Tuesday night, a couple nights ago. We saw oil get crushed, and since then it's just grinding its way all the way back up. There's been some great trading opportunity with the volatility, so we definitely are going to be covering a bit on oil today, particularly with the U.S. inventory report coming out at 10:30 Eastern this morning. Here, Brian, I'm going to go ahead and flip it over to you, and we can run through some of
Mhm.
the headline news. And yeah, let's take a look at oil equities and the pound yen.
Yeah, so the pound, they had their CPI this morning. We talked about it being big and potentially even bigger. And yesterday's run up actually shows us exactly what we got. So we saw the run up most of yesterday, huge moves. And again, there was a couple different reasons why it was moving. But as expected, it came in not only at 6, but actually at 6.2. So a lot of that was the pre-market move to basically position it to to take advantage of retail traders, and that's what we saw. The second this came out, the pound started to go straight down. So again, kind of the telltale sign of the market manipulating the price to get it, so people are having that gut reaction afterwards. We have some speeches this morning. Powell and Bailey are both actually at the same summit, so I don't know that that will be anything really specific toward individual countries. It's going to be a little bit more broad. And then we have crude oil this morning, and then Bullard. Now, Bullard speaking, I think, is should be interesting because his policies have been kind of where what everybody's talking about now. He just did it a month ago. It's kind of like Back to the Future. So you know, we'll see what comes of this. He has two different speeches today. Where's the U.S. economy and monetary policy heading? The 9:05 p.m. one. I think that's going to be the bigger of his two today because again, he definitely has his opinions on where it should go, and now a lot of people are kind of starting to jump in his camp. So this could be a foreshadow of what the next FOMC meeting really looks like at 9 p.m. tonight. So that was one of the big ones. Besides that, as far as headlines go, there's a few small ones in here. One of the things that I mentioned earlier this week was that with Russian oil, it's nice that they want everybody knows that they can't live without them. Germany basically said, "Hey, listen, we're going to cut back as soon as possible," but they can't do it yet, right? So yes, that's nice. They want to eliminate them completely, and again, it's I think this just doesn't have to necessarily do with Russia. It should be with everybody. You should never be reliant. You guys have heard the saying, "Don't put all your eggs in one basket." I think that's a good kind of motto for anything that you do. But yeah, basically talking about how we wanna pull back our reliance upon Russian energy as soon as we possibly can, which is fine. I mean, we kind of expected that, and then at the same time, you see this one where Russia says, "Yeah, but we're in talks with our Asian partners to increase our oil exports if necessary." So again, Russia is also positioning themselves. If you don't take it from one, you can take it somewhere else. And remember, in the day and age we're in right now, if no one else will take it and China can get it for half the price through Russia, they're absolutely 100 times out of 100 times going to take it. It's just business, right? If you can get it for half the price. So people are, they're moving things around. The only other kind of funny one was that where is it? Putin says if you want to buy Russian oil now, we don't trust any Western assets anymore, like the dollar, because if you're going to cut us off from it, you can't have it. But if you want this, you're going to use Russian rubles. And again, can't really blame them. I mean, if you've been cut off from a system that you process payments in for the resources that you have, it's like, yeah, we'll take your oil, but we're not going to pay you for it. Of course, he's not going to take it. I mean, that's kind of
Oh, it's
common
great.
sense. So,
Give them rubles.
um,
They're not worth anything anyway.
yeah, well, again,
I'll
but
give them magic beans.
right, but if it helps them, again, it helps Japan to be weak. It potentially could
Yeah,
help Russia. So,
yeah.
but at the same time, this is yet another country now that is not going to do oil with the dollar. Okay, China's already said that they don't want to do it anymore. Russia says that they don't want to do it now. So now you have a big producer saying no, and you have a gigantic purchaser saying no. You get a couple more countries that go into this whole thing, and the dollar, and again, understand the dollar only maintains dominance because of the petrodollar. If it loses that, there's no reason to have the world reserve currency be the dollar. We're in major trouble. So that's kind of where these nations are starting to roll, and it's something that in the future we need to watch out for. In the overnight, we do have the VIX up. It's up a substantial amount. 4% is not just kind of chump change. There has been some, there's been mentions of, the N word was dropped. The nuclear option. It's not off the table. You never want to hear Putin talking about that. And they said it
Talk
only if
about
it
nuclear
threatens Russia.
bombs.
And that's bad because again, who knows how he sees it? Oh, you've cut us off from the world, that you're threatening our existence, nukes. So who the heck really knows what it means? But the fact that it's now being openly talked about, I don't think it's a great thing. Because of that, again, VIX is up 4%. You're seeing the indices starting the morning off already down, and a lot of it really turned from a lot of those statements, and even a little bit before. I mean, if you look at the ES, and we'll drop it down to a 15. You can see that the ES is pulling back. We kind of had downside targets. We had a lot of chop yesterday, but we had downside targets at 41.70. It started about 1:30. So again, before the European session even started today. Again, it's kind of those overnight talks, and we're starting to see kind of an evaporation down. Now, some of this is the retracement from yesterday, kind of like what we're seeing in the pound, but some of it is also kind of where we are kind of sitting politically. So not necessarily the best. Also, something I mentioned yesterday, we talked about food prices and fertilizer. There was an article this morning talking about how China faces the worst crop conditions ever due to climate change. Now, again, you got to add the climate change in there. It couldn't be for anything else. You got to get the double whammy in here. But again, it's another story on crops about how, listen, we're not going to have enough food. We could have food shortages. So it's another story, a different country, same problem. And again, remember, China just signed huge wheat contracts with Russia as well. And again, remember, the Ukraine and Russia are both huge agricultural areas. And again, another reason why that these guys are in cahoots at this point. So, that's definitely something to watch out. But that's another thing that people are going to look at going forward. So ES is already down today. The interesting thing about ES is, and I guess we can run it. We'll pull it from here up. In looking at kind of just running, easy fibs on there, you can see the 50% kind of retracement level is also pulling back in that same range. We didn't really have it yesterday. We didn't have a range, but we talked yesterday about 44.69 being the target. That just happens to be now in the close proximity and the basing candle, right at the 50% retracement from the last swing from low to high. So something to watch out for in the ES. This could be, I mean, we have 30 minutes. We can get down there and bounce off of that, or we could hit this at like a 10:30. If we maintain this redness at the open, everybody be like, oh, no, it's going to be a red day today, and start selling. That could give us a potential bounce around 10:30 at reversal time today. NQ, also similar. It's 50% really isn't in a great area. It's kind of an old level that was basing in there. The 61.8, I think, has a better opportunity. Whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to do this one. I'm not going to be able to grab it now. Right there. I think the 61.8 is probably a better area. Again, also tumbling. This was a pretty easy one as well. We had all this basing up in here. We talked about it yesterday. Kind of a racetrack scenario. Again, parabolic move up, finding a top, and it did. It found the top right up here. And you can see how many times it bounced off of it. And we started the new day, rolling right back down again. So also negative. It is actually the most negative of all of them, which is crazy because Apple and Tesla are both coming off absolutely monstrous days yesterday. Tesla, I mean, was up 8%. Apple also up, over 2%. So huge moves. And then today we're seeing the profit taking coming back in. So interesting. The Dow looks almost identical. Actually, when I click it, it doesn't really look. You're like, wait, it's the same chart. It's not. It's close. And I mentioned yesterday, this was a big kind of selling area. It wasn't the cleanest though, and we had bounced in it, 1, 2, 3, 4 times, and then finally peaked. But in the overnight, if you're looking for a decent top, there actually was a decent top in here that was put in right there. And then again, Europeans really kind of took that same level and then really launched this. Now, this is quite a bit of a move just in the European session. We marked it off yesterday as 34,500 as being kind of a downward target. Once it finally got enough pressure to kind of push down, that's most likely where it would pull back down to large psychological level. We're in close proximity. I mean, you can see we're only 37 points off. It's right there. There are technically no buyers in there that we can see, at least on a 15-minute chart, but it is a 50% retracement level. So you will have that kind of psychological, hey, listen, it ends in 500. That's psychological. It is a 50%. Oh, there's that too. And we're also getting to the session open. So again, that could provide an opportunity for, basically retail traders to get trapped in that one to the downside. Russell also in something similar. We talked about kind of where profit targets would be and a lot of basing in Russell. Again, Russell was a little bit more volatile. It had an almost immediate pop and then retracement back down again. And that's kind of where we're at right now. It's the same level. Buyers that stepped in. So of all of them, technically the Dow is down the least amount, but I would say the Russell, if there's going to be a swing and a reversal, it looks like Russell is poised to be the first one to pop higher. Again, small company, so technically it does move faster than other things. But again, this is going to be kind of we'll see if it's more risk on, risk off. I can tell you right now, the cryptos are down, but they are also bouncing. And the reason I'm looking at them is because, again, they are kind of the other, it's kind of like looking at an object and using one eye and then switching it to the other eye. That's kind of what this is right now.
Camera one, camera two.
Yeah, and it's bouncing off the 50% level that we had basing it. So I mean, yeah, Bitcoin is now just trying to break free again. Trying to get positive and trying to turn green again. It's coming off a 50% level of of demand. So again, that could be the telltale sign of, okay, listen, risk is coming back in. Okay, is Russell going to be the first to turn? I would say that Russell probably followed closely by YM. It looks like NQ's got a bit more to go, and ES also has a bit more to go. But it looks like those two guys, if we roll, those would be the ways to take it long for today. Now, we do have oil inventory reports later on today. Obviously, you mentioned nuclear weapons. You mentioned, hey, listen, you're going to buy things in Russian oil. And again, Russia's preparing to be kind of cut off. You're starting to see movement already in oil. And again, this is more of a European type trade. European market started right here. It's been more or less straight up. And we had marked this level yesterday. It kind of chopped through it and used it. Now we're back up at the profit target that we mentioned yesterday. Now, the last time the price is up at 113.13, it did. That's where the big drop came. We're there right now. So we're starting to see that. Rolling into a new session, I would say that there's actually potential on this one for it to roll, but the API report is also going to kind of throw a little bit of a kink in this one. Last week, there was a major surplus. This week, API is saying that there's a huge down draw, minus 4.2. We'll see what it actually says today. Again, remember that the API and the EIA is not the same. It's supposed to be similar, but it's not quite the same. So could it come in at a -2? Sure. But right now, the Europeans are looking at this going, hey, listen, there's a huge down draw. Now we're going to have to buy rubles and everything else. And again, it sent it straight up again. I did mention yesterday, and again, I've been kind of trying to throw these in there, what my kind of take on things was. Again, I've been pound and oil kind of bull. Natural gas is also continuing to rally as well. Another day higher, another 2%. Gold, again, gold I think is important to mention as well. It's pulling back right now, but we have an area right below that we're waiting for the drop. We've had a couple hits now, which is awesome. Gold is also higher today. There was some comments actually today, and this may be the reason why. Basically, senators are saying, hey, you know what we should do? We cut them off from the dollar. Let's cut them off from gold, too. So they can't use gold. And now it's like, now we're going to try to weaponize gold.
Gold's actually pretty difficult to use anyway because you have to physically move it around.
You're not shaving chips off. Like, how many chips of gold do I need? Okay.
We're not going back to pieces of 8. It's just not going to happen.
Right. Yeah, and that's, but, of course, their senators saying we should stick it to them and take gold from them, too. Yeah. It's like they're not really using it. They're sitting on, like, a huge reserve of it. I actually don't even see the story right now. It was up here a little while ago, but as things are coming back in.
Let's take a look at that. I know because we're running out of time this morning. Let's take a look at that pound yen setup.
Yeah, I mean, so Basically, this was a trap. There's nothing really else to say. We had huge movement yesterday. Again, why? Because of the pound, also because of the yen. It was just kind of a good combination of things. We expected that there was going to be great data today. I mean, it was expected to be a big, big change, and even with the potential of it coming in even higher than expected, it did. It came in higher than expected, and it was a complete trap by the market. Um, Not much else to say about it. I mean, after the huge push, we were 2 times the daily ATR. You're looking for a pullback. As you can see, where did the reversal happen? Right exactly when the news came out. People saw this and said, oh, I'm going to react after the news. I'm going to hit the button as fast as I can after I see that news. And like, oh my God, this is strong for the pound. Buy it. And it went straight
Yeah,
down. So this is why it's important to kind of look to see what the price action does before the news releases out. Now, is this a big weak trend? No, this is just profit taking from yesterday. This was an easy trap to trap retail traders that have no idea what they're doing. I would say as we're starting the pullback, we are coming back to the 23. It's a very common reversal pullback level. Remember, they always tell you to buy on the pullback. I'm not going to change my tune. I still think the pound is definitely something you want to get into. And again, it's pulled back, but now is not when you want to short it when it's pulling back, right? Again, we have the other news that we saw right now is Russia has basically walked out of peace talks with Japan. I guess there's conflicts in the northern territories there. And they basically said, we're not interested in talking peace. You want to do sanctions? Great. We're not going to talk peace in the northern territories. There's a dispute over there. So, again, also another thing, not great for Japan, but yet you're like, wait a second, why is Japan getting strength? It's not. It's just this is trapping people that don't understand how to trade news. Pound dollars also did the same exact thing. Where was this reversal? Right at 3 o'clock
right.
today.
Yeah.
So it's coming back down. And interesting enough, this one actually is coming back, and there is actually some buyers in there. I'd be curious to see if this is at a percentage level. Yeah, it's right at the 61.8. So again, pound is down from yesterday, but it was basically just set up by a trap with interest rates. They were waiting for that number. Maybe somebody knew it was going to be higher than expected. But yeah, and think about it. The pound is even higher than what the expectation is, and they've already had 3 raises in.
Right.
It just goes
Yeah.
back to even after you've raised at 0.25, 0.25, 0.25, it's still going faster than what the overall forecast is. So it just goes to show you that again, Bullard seems like he's got his finger on the pulse, but everybody
Catching
else
up
is
to
kind of
it's
clueless in
not
this one.
good.
So
Yeah, they're gonna have to get in front of it. In fact, I saw Goldman came out with a statement that the Fed's gonna the next hike will be 50 basis points. In fact, the
yeah,
next
because if they
two
don't,
will
they have no
probably.
credibility left.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really. I mean, it boils back down to it. I said it last time. If you do a 0.25 and then you have to go to a 0.5, it means you did it wrong the first time.
Yeah.
And in this environment, with where we are right now, we're at a 40-year high. You can't really
They got
can't
to
afford to screw up.
no.
And
They got to get in
you know,
front of it. They got to get in front of
yeah,
it, and we've been saying it for a while. So, all right. Um, Yeah. So, well,
that's it.
yeah, we got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, with that, any questions for Nadex, please email us customerservice@nadex.com. Any questions for Brian? You can reach Brian at support@keeptradingsimple.com. What were we talking about today? I mean, it was equities all looking a little weak to start the day. Oil definitely in play today. Punching higher. Pay attention. 10:30. We've got the EIA inventory report here in the States. We did have that API drawdown report yesterday, but we might see some volatility in oil today. We've seen volatility in oil quite a bit recently, and then that pound yen. And actually, it's the pound everywhere. The pound has been retracing a bit, some technical levels in there. With that, Brian and I will catch you again tomorrow morning. And until then, good luck in the markets, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. And sorry for any technical glitches we had on YouTube today. I know there were some challenges. Hopefully, if you weren't able to refresh your browser and solve it, you'll be able to catch the recording. All right, we'll catch you tomorrow, everyone. Thanks.